Miami International Airport, Florida, 1990. U.S. Customs agents discover more than a ton of pure cocaine hidden inside an airplane owned by the Venezuelan National Guard. When officials question the aircraft's commanding officer, General Ramon Guillén Davila, he makes a shocking claim.
First thing he says is, I'm working for Central Intelligence. And that turns out to be absolutely true.
According to later testimony, the drugs were sent to the U.S. as part of a covert CIA scheme to infiltrate Colombian drug gangs operating in Miami. Sound crazy? Not as crazy as what happened to the ton of cocaine. 3 years after the incident, the CIA publicly revealed that the seized drugs ended up being sold on the streets of America.
Woolsey, the head of CIA, went around the country saying, oh, it was a joint intelligence operation that went awry.
But how could impounded drugs end up on the streets of America? Or perhaps more importantly, why? October 5th, 1986, southern Nicaragua. In the midst of a bloody civil war between the pro-Marxist Sandinista government and a group of guerrilla freedom fighters called the Contras, an American C-123 aircraft is shot down and crashes into the rainforest. The only survivor is a former Air America pilot, Eugene Hasenfuss.
Eugene Hasenfuss was a contract pilot for the CIA. He was airdropping supplies to the Contras, and the day he was shot down, he stated he was a part of a U.S. government operation. I mean, he spilled the beans right off the bat.
The Boland Amendment prohibited the use of government money to assist in any attempt to overthrow the government of Nicaragua, which was duly elected. Here was Hasenfuss, who was supposedly flying supplies to the Contras, and this, of course, meant that there had to be some sort of investigation.
As the media began to investigate the Hasenfuss incident, it soon became aware of another political intrigue. November 13th, 1986, President Ronald Reagan went on national television and acknowledged that the U.S. had brokered an arms deal with Iranian military forces in an effort to free American hostages.
First, let me say I take full responsibility for my own actions and for those of my administration. As angry as I may be about activities undertaken without my knowledge, I am still accountable for those activities.
12 days later, U.S. Attorney General Ed Meese disclosed yet another shocking secret. That profits from the covert sale of arms to Iran had been diverted to aid the Contras in Nicaragua.
Certain monies were taken and made available to the forces in Central America, which are opposing the Sandinista government there.
For President Reagan, now it became essential to find a way to fund an attempt to overthrow the government. They were determined to get around the congressional restriction.
The White House identified National Security Council Deputy Director Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North as the mastermind behind the operation. And on July 7, 1987, the officer was summoned to testify before a joint congressional committee on live television.
That in the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, I do.
He admits before Congress that he lied to the American people, he lied to the committee.
By their very nature, covert operations or special activities are a lie.
It's clear that a decision was made to push forward Oliver North as the person who would take the fall.
Okay. He is an innocent.
But was Oliver North's testimony before Congress the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Or was it, as conspiracy theorists believe, part of an elaborate
CIA
cover-up,
patsy.
one that was connected to the tragic plane crash in the Nicaraguan rainforest?
That plane that was shot down had been owned by a major drug trafficker named Barry Seal. He sold the plane to the U.S. government, and U.S. officials feared that if the focus remained on that plane, it could result in a major scandal if the drug
Which worked for the CIA
fully known by the American public.
to import cocaine
The reality of the
and
Iran
trade for
conflict
arms.
is that aircraft loaded with weapons took off from airports in the southern United States and flew into Central America, where the guns were unloaded.
Told you.
And the planes were then loaded with illegal narcotics. And these were then flown back to the United States.
I myself helped to refuel those planes that were loaded with cocaine going into the U.S., knowing the fact that they were going to be seized when they landed in the U.S. And every time I asked, well, what happened to the plane that we just refueled? He said, well, they changed the flight plan in the middle of the flight. And this happened 4, 5, 6 times. And I said, nah, there's something wrong with this picture.
Could the conspiracy theorists be correct? Is this the real secret of the Iran-Contra affair? That it wasn't just arms for hostages, but drugs for arms.
All the
as well.
cocaine in the 80s and
In
90s
January of
was coming in from the
1986,
CIA.
George H.W.
Under
Bush
ex-CIA
came to
Director
Guatemala,
George Bush,
and,
Bill
I said,
Clinton.
we do have some intelligence that Contras are heavily involved in.
Oh, they're all involved at the top.
Little Congo airport.
Ronald Reagan, just a fucking puppet.
Didn't say a word, just shook my hand and walked away from
The war on drugs was simply to take out all the other competition
During
in
the
Mexico.
secret Contra operation in the 1980s,
That's all it was. We split them with
a
guns.
cocaine crack epidemic was spreading across Los Angeles, California.
Except for the
An
Sandinistas,
epidemic that conspiracy
which are
theorists claim
DC's,
was
the
directly
CIA's,
connected to Contra
is the
drug
CIA.
trafficking.
Lots of people in the
Sandinista
drug
cartel
trade worked with him.
is not a Mexican cartel.
And that
It's an
happened
American
because the signal was, don't really
CIA
go after
operation.
them, because if you do, it
Cartel.
will expose what other things we're doing covertly to assist in the overthrow of the Sandinista government.
Well, the Contra connection says that the drug war has almost no moral high ground whatsoever, that the United States has literally made itself into clowns in the global community by pretending to have a war on drugs when really that was never the case.
Was